wheel is working.
All right. I'll roll with that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're doing this in sections and we're going to start with trees. And the first one is one of my very favorites, Anacacho orchid. And this one has very fragrant early spring blooms. And it's great for birds and butterflies. And in some years, it's nearly evergreen. And this is an aqua, which is also called sandpaper tree because the leaves are rough like sandpaper. And one of the things you want to know about this is it's a good sized tree when it's fully grown, which will, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't do that either. Okay, so it'll grow 40 or 50 feet, depending on whether you have it on limestone or real soil, and it will thicket. It may not thicket for 8 years, but it will inevitably thicket. So you might want to know that, but it's great habitat plant. Whoops. Okay, cedar elm is a really good large shade tree. It's pretty fast grow. I didn't touch it. All I did was put my finger over it up here. So cedar elm is a really great fast growing tree. And some of them, and we don't know why some and not others, turn gold in the fall, but it's a really good habitat tree too. Lots of, right now, there are lots of seeds on them. So you see the little chickadees and titmice and things going to the cedar elm. Hackberry is a tree people love to hate. They call them hackberry trash trees, and it's only because they're ignorant when they say that, because these trees grow really fast. They get really big. And when you have a really fast growing tree, then the limbs are often weak and they fall off. So if you just don't plant it where you park your car or your fences or your house, plant it away from all that stuff, it's a wonderful tree, and you will have warblers and all kinds of birds that you wouldn't see otherwise. Mexican plum is a smaller tree, more like 30 feet. Lovely fragrant spring blooms and fruit in the fall for the birds. Possum holly is one of those 4-season plants. It's green. Can you fix this? Or else this.
Yeah.
It's green
Okay, now
for
that
3
is working.
seasons. And then,
This is working now. Okay,
okay,
so up and down.
thank you. And then it gets the red berries, female trees only. And the berries stay on most of the winter because they require a certain amount of cold in order to be palatable. So the cedar waxwings don't come and strip it until February, Marchish. So you have beautiful garden then. Ratama, deer don't typically eat it because it's thorny. It's the computer that's doing it. Deer don't typically eat it because it's thorny, but it has lovely yellow flowers and it's good for pollinators. Wafer ash or hop tree is host plant for the giant swallowtail butterfly. And it's a member of the citrus family. So this, what you want to know about planting this is either plant it on the east side of your house where it gets morning sun, or the east side of a big tree, like one of those live oaks or one of the innocuous. Prairie flame leaf sumac. In contrast to the others, this is a small tree, almost a bush, fall color, and very drought tolerant. And it's also good for birds because they eat the fruit. Texas mountain ash is a large, fast growing tree.
By the way, let me try some more. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If animation.
Oh, so I am not talking fast enough. Oh, blankety. Okay, well, let's leave the timer on and I'll talk faster and say less.
Animations, none.
Well, no, we won't get out of here if I don't talk fast enough.
Oh, well, do you want me to put it back on animation?
No,
Okay, let's just let you push the button.
it's going a lot faster than 30 seconds.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying.
Is that where we were?
Yeah, this is a
I'm
test.
sorry, let me hide this toolbar. It's still
It's
going.
still doing it. All right, we're just gonna,
Hide, loading bar, okay.
okay. It's really good for birds. Fast growing. Low water. Now it won't move.
I'm sorry.
I have never had this problem
I haven't
before.
either. I don't know, it's working now. I thought it was.
Okay, so we're on to shrubs. So that was page 1, and now we are on page 2. Flip it over. American beautyberry. This is a deciduous shrub. No, this is faster than 30 seconds. Purple berries, so this is fall color. The leaves fall off because it's deciduous, and then you have purple berries until the birds have eaten them all. Barbados cherry is almost evergreen. They call it semi-evergreen. And it's one of the few plants that will have blooms and berries at the same time. So, oh,
It's gone twice. Let me see if I can
can't
figure, I don't know what she's. I don't know where, it says animation, none. It says none. Okay, I'll read the chat next. If you, now, if you do it in this mode, we should be good. I can't imagine it.
Animation is for the things that fly.
I know, but it says not.
Go to slideshow.
oh, it's not on slideshow? No wonder.
Slideshow.
Yeah, it has to be on slideshow. Okay, I didn't look at that. All right, so let's go. We are on Barbados cherry.
Like,
Okay, thank you. That's good.
I don't know.
No, that was better. Thank you. Oh, no, that didn't do it.
I know, but I said animation.
All right, so we're just gonna limp through. We're not gonna limp through. We're just gonna talk through this. Yes? Does someone else know how to fix it? Okay, so Barbados cherry has the little bitty cherries. It's a larval host for some butterflies, and it's really good for others. Black Dahlia, and that is the correct pronunciation, is very low water, and it's really good for bees. It's a little bit wispy. It's generally more wispy than in this picture, but it's a lovely plant. Bee brush or white brush is, as its name suggests, really good for bees. And it's semi-evergreen and it blooms for a long time. Siniso, probably almost everyone here knows it's evergreen, and I'm going to tell you when things are evergreen because most things are not. So it's, if you're looking for evergreens, this is one. And it has purple blooms. Woo. All right. Cressida, also known as fragrant mistflower, is actually a Gulf Coast plant. So you need to mulch it really well to protect the roots. And maybe you even want to put it in maybe on the south side of your house. And it's a good one for butterflies, and birds eat the seeds. Damianita, you can put in a rock garden, and it's evergreen, and it blooms a long time. Esperanza or yellow bells, and this is where you need to get your pen out, and you need to put on there what you see up here, VAR, variety angustata, because someone didn't catch that and put that on the cheat sheet for you. And the reason you put that Angostura is because that variety is more, blooms more than some of the others. Okay, evergreen sumac is evergreen. And it's really good for pollinators, and it has little berries. Flame acanthus, the other name for flame acanthus is hummingbird bush. Can we guess why that is? Oops. So it blooms prolifically for months and months, and it reseeds readily. If you do not want a hedge of flame acanthus, perhaps you need to give it space someplace else in the garden. Gray globe mallow is gray, but it's evergreen in the sense that it keeps leaves on it. And it wants a well-drained sandy or gravelly soils, for any of you who have that, and it's particularly good for native bees. Heartleaf hibiscus has those gorgeous red flowers, and it wants part shade. It says sun to part shade on here, but it will be happier if it has afternoon shade. So think about that when you're planting it. Rock rose or rose pavonia, it has those gorgeous little pink blooms, and it blooms a very long time. And it attracts butterflies, moths, and hummingbirds. Skeleton leaf goldeneye is a semi-evergreen shade plant. And very low water usage, bees and butterflies. I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, I can't either. Let me see if I can figure it out again. You're saying timing?
Yeah.
I think if you select the slideshow,
Okay, so
And then you
go ahead,
say
select the slideshow,
setup.
then what?
setup.
Setup. Can you help me? Come
Oh,
here.
I
where's
don't have my
setup?
glasses on.
Okay, so file, like
Yeah, should be set up.
home, insert, draw, transitions. So I have it as none. And then there's, oh, here's slideshows.
Set up,
Hang on, here's slideshow.
manual,
Rehearse timings. No,
no,
Are the transitions the problem?
yeah, no, it's not the transitions.
advance. Or manual advance.
That one that says use timings.
Yeah.
Right
Get
below
rid
it,
of that.
see that little checkbox?
Get rid of it.
Go to your.
I see it. Okay,
yes.
got it. Yay. Thank you. Goodness. Okay, were we on Kidneywood or Golden Leaf?
I
think you-
think we've gone to.
Okay.
Whoops.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't-
Kidneywood. Kidneywood is one of the absolute best pollinator plants. You can put very fragrant also, so you'll have a lovely fragrance in your yard, particularly if you put it up next to your patio like that. And if you unfocus your eyes and you look out on a sunny day, you'll see a little cloud of bees and butterflies and specialty moths and things over it. If you can plant it, everyone should have one of those. Texas lantana, this is Lantana urticoides, and that's the only native Texas lantana, and this one is very good for pollinators. Texas mountain laurel, this is evergreen. I think of Texas mountain laurel as a tree, but it's in the shrub section here, so that's what we're gonna call it. It's not a big tree, it's a small tree. So it's evergreen, and there are gorgeous purple flowers in spring that smell like grape Kool-Aid. Turk's cap is has tubular red flowers, and in years with enough rain, there are little berries that I'm told taste like apples. I didn't think that, but some people do. And it's a twofer plant. hummingbirds come to the flowers and birds come and eat the berries. So you get 2 for 1 with this. White mist flower, shrubby bone set, is my other personal absolute favorite for fall blooming. It only blooms for 1 month, but it does more in 1 month than most plants do in 12 months. It is amazing. And if you have 2 plants side by side, you can probably count well over 100 pollinators on it on a full sun day.
Oh, my. Oh,
You see them?
that's impressive.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're down to perennials or herbaceous. The first one is antelope horns, which, as we all know, is a milkweed. This one will grow in road base. If you want to kill it, give it good soil and water it. Autumn sage, also known as Gregg sage, is an evergreen perennial shrub. Yes, you have to cut it back a little bit every year, about a quarter to a third, or maybe twice a year. But it attracts all kinds of hummingbirds and butterflies. Black-eyed Susan, this one, depending on the weather, it might be an annual, a biennial, or a perennial, but it will reseed whichever one it is. So if you have some this year, you will have some someplace next year. Blackfoot daisy. I'm going to give you the secret. This one, everyone loves. The nurseries sell hundreds of them, thousands probably. And even the most experienced plant person kills a number of them. So here are the 2 things that I know that will work for this. One is plant it in road base and don't water it. And the second one is, if you don't do that, if you actually plant it in soil, plant it on a slope and only give it a little drip once a week. If you do that, they will last more than 1 year. Chili piquin or chili patine, this one is good for us and good for the birds. The birds love those little hot peppers, and those peppers are a Scoville 40 rating. Jalapenos are an 8 rating, just for comparison. But you can make a hot vinegar, or you can dry them and grind them up and make a chili powder. They're really good. Fall aster, some of these will bloom in spring and in fall, but you will have purple blooms at the time the monarchs are coming through and the fall butterflies are migrating and have the most need. And is that gorgeous or what? Fall obedient plant is a really good plant in search of world dominance. It spreads through runners, not bad like some invasive grasses. But even so, if you don't have a big space, plant it in a pot, and it needs a little extra water, but you'll be glad you have it once you do that. False foxglove, this is a form of penstemon, and you can see these occasionally on the side of the road blooming in, say, April and May, but they are a special value to bumblebees and native bees, which are in decline. Okay, 12-month bloomer, 4-nerve daisy. And it's evergreen. And are there any other things we can say that about? I do not think so. Gay feather, a kind of liatris. And this is another one where you need to underline for yourself in the scientific name, punctata variation mucronata. And the reason is there are way over 100 kinds of gay feather. Why did that do that?
You know what, we can choose, hide the menu while it's up here.
So there are more than 100 kinds of gay feather. This is the kind you want to get for where we live. We have weird soils. We have weird weather. This one will live very well. It grows from a corm fairly deep underground. So it can survive almost anything except overwatering. Now it won't move. Won't go up or down. Oh, wait, I don't know what you did, but there we go. Green milkweed is a relative of the antelope horns, you can see when you look at that there's similarity in the flowers. It's not particular about soil, and it will attract butterflies and native bees, and it may go fairly dormant in summer. Greg's mist flower will spread. It will spread a number of feet beyond any space that you have given it. So give it more space and then be a disciplined plant parent. But the queen butterflies love this because the males, particularly because it supplies a phytochemical that they need for mating. Think of it as Viagra. So Maximilian sunflower. The thing you want to know about this is if you water this and do not cut it back in June, it will grow 16 feet tall. Guess how I know that? Dee Dee doesn't water hers at all. She didn't water them in the Chihuahua Desert summers we had, and hers only got to 6 feet. They're called Maximilian, Max, for a reason. That did it by itself. Mealy blue sage is another one you'll see on the sides of the roads. I've never seen deer eat these down, not even the flowers. Doesn't mean they won't do it, but I've never seen it, and I'm a good observer. And these will reseed themselves like nobody's business, but you will have so many bumblebees if you plant these. They're really wonderful. And there is a cultivar, Mealy Blue Sage Henry Duelberg, which was discovered on a grave, I think, in East Texas. It wants a little bit more water, but it has more vibrant flowers. Plateau or toothleaf goldeneye. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you to go to page 4. We're good? Okay. All right. It likes part shade. You can put them in full sun, but it will do better if you put it in part shade, and it's a fall bloomer. The thing that throws me about prairie bluet is nobody knows that name, but everybody knows what baby's breath is. So think baby's breath when you see prairie bluet. And it flowers from April to November, and it'll grow in gravelly calcareous soil. So it's a good one if you've got hard spaces. Prairie goldenrod. This does not get as tall goldenrod. This one gets, our slide says 1.5 to 2 feet tall. I would say more like it can get to 3 feet tall, but it doesn't get to 12 feet tall, which is what tall goldenrod does if you water it. And I want everyone in here to know, you are not allergic to this. You are not allergic to this. You are allergic to ragweed. This one has big, heavy pollen that falls down. Ragweed has little fine pollen that floats on the wind and goes down your nose. So don't miss out on that, because it's a great plant for the fall migrating butterflies. Purple coneflower is dies back. It's a perennial, but the flowers attract butterflies. And if you don't cut it back, the birds will come eat the seeds in the winter. Red columbine, this is evergreen. And those wonderful little upside down flowers, the hummingbirds come and they tip their heads up and they sip the nectar upside down. It's one of the most wonderful spring sights you'll ever have. Shade, it wants shade. Red yucca. This is not actually, this one I would say is more of a succulent, but we have it grouped together here because we have it grouped together here. And so it will bloom months, a long time. Those long spikes will bloom from, depending on the weather, late April into November. And they will attract hummingbirds and take care of hummingbirds through 2 migrations, spring and fall. So that one's a winter, and deer don't eat it, although they will eat the flowers. Rough stem rosin reed attracts butterflies, and It doesn't want rich soil and it doesn't want a lot of water or they'll flop over. So don't baby it. Square bud, primrose, some sundrops. This is one that you would plant anywhere you would plant Blackfoot daisy and Damianita. In other words, it will live in road base. It does not want to have a lot of water. Do not fertilize it. And it'll bloom March to November. I mean, how good is that? Texas aster, also known as Drummond's aster. This is one that really wants part sun. The slide says it will tolerate full sun, but I don't know about you. I'm not good about having to tolerate things, and I get pissy when that happens. So if you don't want a pissy plant, then put it in part sun. Texas betony wants, you can call it either part sun or part shade. What it really wants is don't put it in afternoon sun. And it will do better if it has some real soil and a regular watering. But if you do that, it will bloom maybe 9 months a year, depending on the weather. Definitely 7 or 8 months a year, depending on the water. And the hummingbirds love this.
Deer resistant too.
Yes, deer resistant, thank you. And by the way, we say resistant, we don't say proof, and we all know why that is. Texas milkweed, also known as white milkweed. It prefers sandy, loamy, gravelly, and acidic soils. So most of us have alkaline soils, but if you have an area of acidic soil that you're sure is, this would be a good one. Now, maybe it would do just fine because maybe your soil is not that alkaline and you're kind of in the in-between area, but it's a good one for monarchs. Tropical sage, also known as scarlet sage. This, it could be an annual. It's often a perennial. It depends on the weather as much as anything else, but no matter what it is, it will reseed like nobody's business. You will have this everywhere. And if you had red in one spot and white across the yard, pretty soon you're going to have pink too, and salmon and rose. But the hummingbirds will love you for it. Oh no. All I did was push down.
Okay, I'm trying again.
There, thank you. Wine cup. These also could be a ground cover. If you put a little compost down, they will thicken up like a ground cover, but they will need a little bit more water. And I have had these blooming until November. These will bloom a long time if they get a little bit of water every week. Sexminia daisy is a lovely rounded mound green bush. If you have a place where you could use a small-ish green bush that you don't have to trim or do anything to, that's it. Now it's deciduous, it'll die back. So in early spring, you would cut it back, but it will bloom and bloom and bloom. Okay, we are on to vines, which I think is page 5. Oh yeah, we went to page 5 a long time ago. Okay, so we're talking about vines. Coral honeysuckle is bar none my favorite vine because it's the only reliable thing blooming here when the hummingbirds come back for spring migration. So when they get here on December 10th to the 15th, because that's the time frame they get to Comal County in, these will be in bloom like you see in that picture, and it's evergreen. You got an ugly fence, grow yourself some coral honeysuckle. Passion flower, this kind, Fetida, is also called Corona de Cristo, and it will bloom from May until October. And are those not pretty blooms? And they are fragrant, and they're a host plant to Gulf swallowtail butterflies, and also to, I don't mean swallowtail, I mean Gulf fritillary butterflies, and also to the variegated fritillary butterflies. Okay, crossvine. Look at that picture. You see the density of those orange blooms. That's what happens in spring. You can cover a good section of fence with that. And it's evergreen, so it'll cover your fence the rest of the year. Off and on during the year, if there's some rain and as it grows, you'll get sporadic blooms. Hummingbirds love that. Old man's beard. This is a kind of clematis. We don't have many native clematises in Texas. I think maybe 2 that I know of. This one is native here, and this one you'll see on hedgerows and fences out. So this one is really tough. You have a really tough fence. This is it. Birds eat the seeds, and it takes a female plant to make the flowers. Purple passion flower, that's the Passiflora incarnata, has the darker, bigger flowers like this. And in this, whoops, I didn't do that. And in this picture, if you look up and to the right of the flower, there is a caterpillar on it. That's a Gulf fritillary caterpillar. It's also a host plant. And those things have runners, and they can go underground through clay that you can't dig through. They can go almost under cement sidewalks.
Mine is crossed into my neighbor's yard. Thank God she loves it.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so we're on to scarlet leather flower. And this is the other clematis. And this one has these really cool little red flowers like that. And the hummingbirds do come to these. And it will die back. This is one of the few that is solely endemic. That means originated here in the southeastern Edwards Plateau. So this is really our plant. And for that reason, if you can find a place to put it, it would be great. Snapdragon vine is a beautiful little vine. You have a shady place where you need a vine. This one prefers part shade, and by that it means not afternoon sun. If your part shade it is only in the morning, then find another place for it. Grasses, yay. Gulf muley, have we crossed over? We have crossed over. I think we're on page 6.
Last page.
Yeah. Okay, Gulf muley or pink muley. You see this in shopping centers. Almost everybody sees this. It's really beautiful. And it's great if you plant it in drifts. Inland sea oats. This is also called wood oats. And I believe I remember that there was a push to call it wood oats and not inland sea oats. But nobody does, and you can't find it in the stores that way. And so there we go. It wants part to full shade. And it will grow like crazy, and it will spread. It will really spread, but it's very easy to pull up. And how many beautiful things like this do you get? Get seeds for the birds. Lindheimer muley, these get 5 to 6 feet tall and wide. So get a big space if you have them, but deer don't eat them. And so you got an ugly fence to hide. There you go. Although you will have to cut it back, and there is some maintenance required because after it dies back in the late spring, before it's fully coming to leaf again, you cut it back to about 1.5 feet, and you get a rake and you rake out the old stuff that's in the center of it. All right, and we are on to ground covers. So the first one is one of my absolute favorite plants, frog fruit. Frog fruit is another plant with world domination in its genes. So if you put frog fruit down and if you put compost down, you expect that it will grow up the side of your house. Even if it's not a wood house, it will grow up. So, but if you grow it out on a rocky, hard scrabble slope, it will just cover and take its time, and it will be just fine, and it will not require you to water it. It also tolerates flooding. Golden groundsel, this is a shady ground cover, and when you think about how many shady ground covers do we have to have this kind of vibrant yellow flowering, although it may go dormant in summer. Heartleaf skullcap. is a really pretty perennial ground cover. See the little blue flowers on there? And it blooms April to June. Horse herb or straggler great daisy is a sunny ground cover, little tiny bitty yellow flowers. And if we have a Chihuahua Desert summer, it will go dormant. So you won't see much of it, but otherwise, so you don't have to water it. It's still holding the ground down. It will come back when the rain comes back. And there are little butterflies and bees that come to it. Lyre leaf sage is an evergreen ground cover, and it prefers shade, but it will grow in full sun, although we remember pissy plants. Pigeonberry or rouge plant is the second of the two plants in this sequence that will both bloom and fruit at the same time. And both Barbados cherry and pigeonberry will do that throughout the season. So starting late spring all the way into fall. Pigeonberry needs more shade. It will not last in full sun unless you really water it and do some other stuff for it. And nobody wants to have to do that. So give it afternoon shade, please. Woolly Stemodia, and this is the last one, the last plant in tonight's program. I'm so excited. Well, I won't have met my 30-second goal, but it's not my fault that the program has a problem. So it's an evergreen ground cover, although it's more gray than green. And this is a beautiful stand of it in Blackland Prairie, where the clay holds on to the moisture. If you grow this plant out on the top of the Edwards Plateau, it will not be this thick and beautiful, but I never had the deer eat it and I didn't water it. So it has a benefit. So thank you. And now that we have done that, does anybody have a question? I talked so fast you couldn't? Yes.
So if we purchase some of these plants, can we leave them in the pot until they get big enough to transplant?
It depends on the plant and the size you're purchasing. If you're purchasing a gallon, Lisa?
They're 99.9% gallons, or larger. Some of the trees are 3 to 5 gallons, but all perennials essentially are gallons.
So you should be able to plant gallon size and larger.
And I know I've been fostering 50 of these babies.
Bless you.
And they're ready to come out of the gallon pots. So I wouldn't keep them in there. They're ready to.
Thank you. So the question was,
Move them up to a bigger pot.
the original question was if plants were bought, could they, I'm sharing with Zoom. If plants were bought, could they be kept in the gallon pots to overwinter? And the answer is no, they're really ready to be planted now.
This is the perfect kind of.
If they are 4-inch plants, you might want to put it in a gallon pot and overwinter it and plant it in the spring or next fall. Okay, any more questions? Anybody have a favorite plant?
There's 7 chats.
Okay,
Go ahead and step around and let me see what the chats are. I hear Dee Dee broke her head.
okay.
Take it off the timer, show. Use the space bar. Okay, never mind, that's it. She said repeat the questions that people ask.
Okay. All right, yes.
Okay, so I have 2 favorites. One is the autumn sage or salvia gregae, which we are gonna have a lot of red, we have some white, and we'll also have some pink. That's salvia gregae, red, white, and pink. That is, that is one of the best natives that you can plant because The deer won't bother them. You can keep them blooming almost the whole season by, if they stop blooming, you just cut them back and they'll re-bloom and you cut them back again and they'll re-bloom. I'm on my third or fourth time cutting mine back. And they'll just keep going. And the hummingbirds love them, the pollinators love them. So that's number one. And number two is skeleton leaf goldeneye, which was really, we kind of had a fairly mild winter compared to the last two, right? Because we had ice the last two, but this past winter was kind of mild. My skeleton leaf goldeneye stayed green the entire time, and I had blooms on it through the whole winter. So, and it's huge. I mean, it started out as a gallon plant, and this is the second year, and it's probably easily 3 feet tall and 3 feet wide. So,
And it's a great pollinator plant, yes.
The autumn sage, so how long could you keep these plants in your yard? So mine are now 7 or 8 years old. And I'm wondering if I should just dig them up and start over, or no, these plants are good for ever.
yeah,
The question is, Salvia greggii, autumn sage, how long will they live in the yard? And Alita is saying she has some in her yard that are 32 years old. So I would say, are you having problems with them?
No.
If you're not having problems with them, then you're good.
Okay.
I think one of the things, people typically don't cut them back as far as they can. In the spring, you cut it back to 6 inches. Okay, the whole plant, because they get very woody, and the more woody they get, the less they bloom. Okay, so you want to cut it really harshly back. And say in February, and then
I was told that if the branch is thicker than a pencil, you should trim it back. Then that was by a lady, that gave a talk on winter care of perennials at Ladybird Wildlife.
So Gil Rhodes is contributing that an expert from Ladybird, who gave a talk on maintenance, said that if your Salvia greggii woody stems are thicker than a pencil, cut it back. Yes, Linda?
I have some big oaks with a lot of shade, and there are like 3 plants that I really like from shade, and one is the Turk's cap. Because all you really have to do with Turk's cap is cut it back in the winter. And pigeonberry, which is a very fragile looking little plant, but I don't water it. Also, the Salvia coccinea, or the Coccinea tropical sage, I started out probably 30 years ago with 8 plants, and now they're all there. I've got hundreds, and now I've got my front yard to my backyard. I don't know. I took those back in late summer also.
Yeah.
Who thinks in chat? In chat, one lady said, it's Elizabeth Goutman. What is this really looking plant in the background of the woods demoted? Is it tried Barbados? And when it looks like it's not. Right.
It looks like private Barbados, but if it's his Dee's yard, it's not, but I don't remember the ones. I never knew how it was going to be in the yard, so I'm gonna guess it's private Barbados. Thank you, Elizabeth.
And the second thing is. That she just heard from he's being moved to rehab this evening and would love to have visitors. Let's rehab.
Oh, excellent.
Awesome. Well, you're gonna say,
Well, Jack, you made that implement. Does that movie look like Eve's necklace?
Weeping, Yellow.
Weeping Yellow?
oh,
We got one in, Land of Pond.
no, that's not a real. and he must be seeing something.
I can certify the Barbados, because she does have one in her yard.
Yeah.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, she does.
Okay, thank you. He says I'm wrong. We had the part of our neighbors in the yard, and I haven't been seeing.
Will we be uploading this, or will someone be uploading this particular slideshow to the website for the Broncos?
The recording will be there, the video, the actual slides themselves, that, if you go to the website and you go to the website and you click on resources, there's a link that says the plant sale, and there's little pictures of everything that'll be for sale, and you can click on it, and it takes you to the native plant database, and it'll show you all the
Right,
information.
if we wanted what I think of as a down and dirty, which is this, so that I'm not looking. That's why I was making.
No, I was wanting, we'd like to have that,
Yeah.
you know,
Okay,
you download this,
it's PowerPoint,
These are also care cards.
yeah, they're also there.
Yeah, so the care cards are on the website and they're. Okay.
Yes.
Hair cuts are a lot.
I have another question on the climate campus. On the climate campus, you said it can be hedged.
The question is, can you hedge Flavor campus? And the answer is, it's deciduous, it dies back, you cut it nearly to the ground in late spring. So if you want a seasonal hedge, the answer is yes, it will grow up and you can cut it off there. But really, unless you have a lot of compost and regular watering, it's not gonna get to be the kind of hedge that would work that well for you, because it's only gonna be part-time and it's gonna be growing the rest of the time. But what you will get is, depending on whether it's thin soil or blackland prairie, etc. 3 to 4 feet tall and maybe 3 feet wide, and all covered with blooms during the months we have rain at least. Any more?
You have a flame leaf sumac. Is there any way that you can keep it from suffering?
The question is about flame leaf sumac and suckering. And the answer is, and I'm gonna go to Eric as soon as, and get his answer as soon as we finish. I think that really that's what flame leaf sumacs were born to do. And you can keep at it if you want to, but it's gonna be a losing battle unless you water it and compost it. And if you do that, you'll kill it. So, yeah, this one will die if you water it too much. It doesn't want that. So I would say, no, it just needs a bigger space or clear other things out around it. They are such wonderful plants and they are not that easy to come by.
What I found is when I plant it, you've got 2 stages. When you plant them, if you'll dig out all the soil 18 inches down and then line it with galvanized flashing, and then put all the soil back in, all the original soil back in with the plant, that will cut down on the suckering 85%. I don't know if you could I guess depending on the size of the tree now, you might be able to still do that without doing too much damage to the roots. But be careful.
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
I have a comment on the Harvey school camp. They will receive this.
Comment on Hartley Skull Cap from, your name.
I planted one plant this spring in a pot. And it bloomed and it had these tiny little seeds in it. It is now a full pot of Hartley skull caps and they're reblooming. So they're very easy to grow.
Excellent. Anybody else? Okay, so I'm gonna tell Dee when I go see her, hopefully tomorrow, that, I did my part and it's not, and, y'all did your part and we were still clearing out at an appropriate time before the.
If we send Dee flowers. Avoid.
I would say, Phoebe wants Hagen stuff. Hey, don't send her any Datura. That's toxic. That's toxic. Okay, thank you all so much, and we look forward to you all coming and enjoying the plant sale, bring your neighbors and relatives.
Yeah. Slideshow itself, not the computer, the slideshow.
Video.
Yeah, it's a slideshow. Oh.
Probably the easiest thing to do is just create a video. You don't have to stick it in YouTube or.
Yeah, yeah. So you're saying do that instead of recording or in addition to?
Well, if you always post recordings to the YouTube, then go ahead and do that, but I would put a PDF on the website and then people that, you know. So
Yeah. Well, I can't get it to turn off.
Oh, please. Probably that was related because
I know. So we'll be quick, it'll be a long one.
Yeah, I held it down forever. Didn't help.
Last year, I see that they put a new little.